Hi, this is Dave, Dave's Vintage Baseball Cards. You ever seen anything like this? Well, neither had I. You can see this is kind of falling apart, but what this is what's left of a 19th century cabinet photo album. There's room for an awful lot of cards in these things. This album is what housed the Fargo. There was 32 cards in the Fargo find, but as you can see, there's a lot more than 32 spaces in here where cards were torn out of, and I'll get to that later. Here's the story about the Fargo find. Hi, I'm Dave, Dave's Vintage Baseball Cards. Many of you know me, you've seen my videos before, if you've visited my website, and you know I'm the guy that an awful lot of people go to when they find a collection of old Judge baseball cards, and that's just what happened here. And I already showed you the album that these things came in, and you can see these are the old Judge cabinet cards. So I get an email and a phone call from a gentleman in Fargo, North Dakota. About the middle of August is when this all started to happen. And his mother-in-law had been going through the basement, cleaning up, and she found these old pictures of the baseball cards, and she knew that her daughter's husband liked old things and was a sports fan. And she also knew that he really liked his father-in-law, who had passed away, and she thought, well, you know what, this is just junk. I'm going to give these cards to him. He took the cards and he looked at them and he says, oh, you can't give me these are valuable. Because there was a Cap Anson in there, and the neighbor said, boy, these are probably really worth something, and the mother-in-law decided to take him up on the offer, maybe not being quite so generous, and but they decided they wanted to sell the cards, and that's when they contacted me. They went on the internet, they found Dave's Vintage Baseball Cards, and I get the call, the email, and we're talking about a collection of about 32 baseball cards. Now, you know, I had the Oregon find, which had 1,450 cards, and the Indianapolis find, which had 216. So somebody calls me about 32 old Judge baseball cards. You know, I'm not going to get excited about that. It's no big deal. But he didn't really know what these were. He thought they were the N172 old Judge baseball cards. So I'm like, okay, well, can you send me some pictures so I can see what kind of condition they're in? Sends me photos and realize, hey, these aren't N172 baseball cards. These are the cabinets. There's 32 of them. And the pictures look absolutely gorgeous, as you've already seen. And I'm going to flash through some more cards in just a moment. To kind of make a long story short, we go back and forth, talk about maybe a consignment. I want to buy them, but they think the value is a little bit higher than what I think the value is. And I'm thinking maybe the fairest thing is just do a consignment. Then they decided they didn't really want to go that route. They would rather sell them to me. We were having a good conversation on the phone and several times on how much I would pay, and we went back and forth a little bit, and we came to a number and we agreed on it. Got on the airplane, that was yesterday, 8:30 in the morning. I'm on my way to Chicago, bouncing to Fargo. Fargo for an hour and a half, do the deal in the parking lot, meet them. They were very nice people, and apparently they liked doing business with me. They really enjoyed the relationship. Get back on the plane, out to Denver, back to Los Angeles by about 10 o'clock last night, and you've already seen the little thumbnail images on my website, pictures of the baseball cards, and some of you have probably seen the posting on Net 54 bulletin board. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning last night just getting these things prepared so I can show them to you. And now that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's get to some of the cards. Okay, here we go. Here's the cards. And as you see on this first page, Cap Anson. These cards are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Just look at the contrast in the photos. These things have been stacked up in these albums that I showed you a moment ago, so they haven't been getting disturbed by the sun or handled. They probably sat in those albums from 90 to 110 years, not disturbed. Now you can see some of these cards have the original owner's name stamped on the back. Not all of them, but some of them. But just look how gorgeous these cards are. And there's Dan Brothers, Hall of Famer. That was Cap Anson on the previous page. Here's a very rare Dog's Head. That's on a common card, brown. Burns, I believe that's Burns. Okay, on this page we have Daly, Duffy. Here's another Duffy, the Hall of Famer. Here's an interesting shot of Sure Shot Dunlop. Fuller, shortstop St. Louis. Gansel. But once again, just look at the detail of the photos, the clarity. There's a Hall of Famer, Ned Hanlon, Glasscock. This one here's got a little crease in it. Unfortunate. Another one with a little crease. The Kelly, King Kelly, Boston. A little bit rougher condition, but not too bad. Check that out. If that's the worst you get in a collection like this, you're doing pretty good. King, Latham, just beautiful pictures, and hardly any wear in the corners, as you can see. These are just pristine cards, absolutely gorgeous. There's Miller. This was the roughest card in the collection. Milligan, got a little hole in it right there and a little scratch. Nash here, very nice card. It's been on the bulletin board all day long, and people have just been writing and ranting and raving about these things. Nobody's seen a find like this in quite some time. Beautiful cards. Outdoor pose of a Brooklyn player, Pinckney. Gorgeous card. Robinson, Ryan, popular player here, not a Hall of Famer, but some would argue that maybe he should be. I think he had the home run record before Babe Ruth broke it. Williamson from Chicago, I think he had 28 home runs one year. And Weiss. So there you go. So those cards, they're great cards, aren't they? And as I mentioned, I got emails when I got back today from the gentleman who I bought these cards from, who I met with yesterday. And as you can see, there's an awful lot of empty spaces in here. And what he told me was his mother-in-law said that one of his nephews, they kind of got into the basement area down there where the cards and stuff were, and they were snooping around. And they actually, she believes that when her grandfather died, these were all full. There were no cards missing at all. So I haven't gone through and counted it, but there's probably at least 50 or 60 more cards that were out of here. In fact, a couple of cards with a similar marking on the back showed up a couple of years ago in Hunt's auctions. And so who knows how many of these things they actually took, how large this collection could have been if it was still in one piece. Okay, so I get this email. I'm going to go ahead and just basically read it to you. Dave, great meeting you. Some Providence as promised. My mother-in-law found the album clearing out stuff in her basement. Most things were going to a dump nearby that sponsors a free weekend to residents. She saw the cards and remembered her husband, my wife's stepdad, talking about photos his granddad had of guys he played minor league baseball with. Granddad was apparently born just before or right at the start of the Civil War and died just after World War I. And in between giving up baseball, he came back to North Dakota and farmed. She found the album and was going to throw it out, but first decided to give it to her daughter, to give to me because I like old things and I have photos and programs, college football teams my father-in-law played for before World War II. Yeah, today she thought I might like these photos because I really like my father-in-law. She told me Neil doesn't want them, just throw them away. Throw them away. It sounds like the same story we had with the Oregon find. The grandmother says, it's junk, just throw it away. Anything like that. I wonder how many of these collections actually did make it to the dump. He goes on to say, I knew immediately they were worth something. I told her I couldn't take them, but they refused to believe me. Only after a neighbor convinced my wife they were worth something because Cap Danson, his mother-in-law, then decided, well, maybe she shouldn't be quite so generous. Fun story. These were really nice people. It was a month-long process that was a lot of fun, and the cards are just gorgeous. I hope you enjoy the show about the old judges. It just goes to show, you know, I've gotten struck with finds like this twice before, and here I'd say this one, although it's a lot smaller, it's just as exciting as those first two, and you just never know when a collection like this is going to turn up. So keep hunting for those old judge and 19th century baseball cards, and if you have any questions or comments, you can see my number scrolling below. Give me a call. We're always here and we're always happy to talk to you, and we're always looking for more cards. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.